even more important for us in the industry as communities and so forth. As I said the other day, I'm also seeing that some of our members at the quarries are asking when we're starting with this audit again. The DMR guys are asking them, so forth and so forth and so forth. So welcome to all. I think we just remember the competition laws, and then we also remember the rules when you go onto Teams, not to leave your mic on or your face exposed. So Anthony, as usual, you're the chair of this meeting. I'm not going to talk too much, and there you are, you can take over. Thank you very, very much, Anthony.
Thank you, Nico, and good morning, everybody. We've spoken to some of you, but for the people we haven't spoken to, welcome, and thanks for joining the meeting. I'd like to start off by just giving a bit of a recap. I think there's some faces that we haven't seen before of what this process is and where we are at the moment in the journey. If you remember, the original brief that we received as the subcommittee was to redesign the audit, the environmental audit, which had been put on hold for various reasons. And that the new brief was that we were to design something that would assist operations and operations managers and companies to be compliant with environmental legislation and requirements, rather than as a punitive measure. The audit must be a constructive tool. Then input from various members was that we use the about face structure, because we've got all that information on site. So basically it was not to redesign the wheel, but to use the existing structures and just to modify those and polish it up a bit. Everyone was, and when I say everyone, that was the feedback that I got, was that the about face audits were actually quite good. It was where it fell down a bit was the implementation of the actual audit and how it was conducted, which resulted in a bit of a high scoring there. And I think that's where the credibility went up. But the actual documents and the procedure was very good. It remains as that. We then also looked at the weighting of the various components of the audit, and those we've sent out for comment. I received 2 comments back from members of what we suggested the percentage of those specific topics should be within the audit. It's also, I think, very important just to note again that this whole process is a consultative process. I've put forward a skeleton, a framework of what should be done or what I think should be done, and put it out there, and people have commented. Some have been very positive. We've had some good ideas come through it. Sadly, though, we haven't had a hang of a lot of feedback. So, it'll get to a point where this will be accepted as an audit process, and whoever hasn't commented is going to have to accept what is put on the table. So the last bit of information that went out was the weighting. And I think let's just stop with that for a few minutes before we carry on with the rest of the meeting. Has everyone on the call had a look at that weighting? And are there any people that would like to comment on that proposal that has been tabled? Jeremy?
Anthony, how's it? Yeah, obviously just had a quick brief through it. From my side, nothing stands out to me. I think it's all in line. And I think it is, as you say, it's going to be, as we've taken this on ourselves, it's going to be a bit of a trial and error. And as the first year or two go by, we can adjust and weave it. So just from my side, everything looks good. And thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. I think that's also a very important point. nothing is going to be cast in stone. Obviously, once we've gone through one cycle of this, we can revise it again and have a look. If there are issues that are sort of really topical and that are not good, we can always revise that and have a look at that. Is there anybody else that would like to comment? All right, so I think at this point then we can accept that the weighting is pretty much in line, and we will transfer that across to the audit, the actual audit document for consideration. Navashni, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, Anthony, are we going with suggestion A or suggestion B?
It's going to be a bit of to be democratic here. I think where there are big differences. For example, on the old order mining right, it was suggested 10. I think it was you guys came back with 5. Suggestion B was 10. We'll get the middle ground there and see where we're going to go. Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to know if we've made a decision really. Okay, but it's fine.
Yeah. Look, the audit document, and this is also something I've spent quite a bit of time going through it. The audit document, because it's divided into a remote audit and a physical audit, it tends to overlap. So you're going to get a bit of a cross-pollination on both sides, even though the focus would be on different things. And the questions come up, in different forms and are related to different topics. So you'll probably find that you'll end up with very much close to about a 7 on that specific topic.
Mm. And for each of these line items, so let's assume old or new order mining rights as an example, do we know at this point what exactly we will be looking at from an audit perspective? Like, is there a description of what each of these items will entail?
That hasn't been put down formally as yet, but this is all information that is available on site that was used in the previous audits. Do you have a mining right? That's going to be the question, and it's a yes or no. Do you have a new order and an old order? You should have both in order to operate. It's like mine plans, for example. Are your mine plans valid do you have valid mine plans on site? It's a yes or no. And it's a legal requirement that you've got to have those things. So that's why the rating is quite high on some of those things. Let's take EMPR, for example. You have to have it. And you know as well as I do, it's quite a challenge with DMR. So their question can be structured slightly differently. Do you have a valid one? No, you don't. Have you submitted? Yes, I have. So we can't hazard. Have you had approval yet? No, you haven't. It's not your fault. So we would not penalize the site in its entirety. For example, have you submitted? Yes, provide proof. Thank you very much. Instead of a naught, you make it 5 out of 10. Again, I come back to what we said earlier. It's not a punitive audit. This is something designed to assist people to be compliant. I take just on the EMPRs. We've got EMPRs that have been hanging out now for years. We still haven't got reply from the DMR. What do? You carry on. And I'm sure you've got similar situations in your organization. Okay.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? No. Okay. Let's carry on. The next step in the process process at the audit document and actually redesigning it a bit. So it will run very much on the same principle. If you remember our initial flow chart that we did, it will run on that sort of basis with the with your legal compliance making a big part of the remote audit, and then the site visit will be, and we're going to focus a bit more on the physical side of things on site. Satellite industries makes up a big portion. Alien vegetation, dust control, hazardous material, water management, mining boundaries, those sort of things are all important things for your operations. And we need, obviously, the auditor is going to have a look at that when he's on site. So the brief or the proposal that I've got, that I've put together, and I will circulate this later today, once I've spoken to Nico with it, is we've split the audit, the original about face audit document that Alan Cluett used to use. We split that into the remote audit and the physical audit. So they're two separate documents. And you will then receive two separate ratings or percentages for the specific audits. Some questions have been taken out that are not applicable. Some have been added in. And the ratings have been adjusted according to what has been proposed on this weighting document. So we've tried, and I spoke to Letitia a couple of days ago, and she said, please take out all the duplications. That's an irritation that people have. Sometimes it's possible, and sometimes unfortunately, where subjects cross over, it's not completely possible, but I've tried to minimize it as much as possible. So Navashni, specifically on your side, if you can have a look at that for us as well and just comment on it, if you like or don't like or would like to add in something else, please feel free to let us know, and we can do it. Okay.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, if there's anyone else that would like to... Yeah, Felix.
Hi, Anthony, I'm very, very sorry to take you back. If you just look at the proposed weighting.
Yeah.
Say my apology to take you back. I'm looking at the component on stakeholder and community management.
Yeah.
Would you mind just elaborate as to what that would entail, and how would you score that?
Okay,
what
the stakeholder.
would you look at?
You'd look at your stakeholder management in terms of community meetings, your involvement with the community, the ability, how do you handle complaints from the community regarding environmental things such as dust, noise, blasting practices, that sort of thing, Felix. Because if you remember, initially we also identified that your community relations are going to become a very important part. In fact, have already become a very important part. So it's really to do with that side of things. Do you have neighbor meetings? Have you got proper communication tools out there? Do you engage with the communities, etc., etc.?
Okay.
You there, Felix?
Yeah, I'm here, Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
no,
there are a couple of
clarity.
Yeah,
because it could have a whole lot of connotations and things like that in terms of the dynamics in communities. And so that's a very touchy one in terms of how you looked at it.
Yeah, I've actually tried to keep it as simple as possible without getting too involved. If you dig this thing, if you drill down too deep, you get exceptionally involved, and it gets all sorts of tendrils. The basics, we've sort of tried to keep to let's call it first line and second line basics. Do you have a community meeting? Do you have proper, is there a complaints register in your office? Do you address blasting complaints? How many have you had, etc.? You know, that sort of thing. Things which are pretty common to most operations. You know, and I mean, we make dust, we make noise, we shake the ground. Are there mechanisms in place to talk to people? Have you done your surveys, that sort of thing? That's more on the community management. It fits in as well, Felix, with the social labor plan. You know, so there's a cross pollination on those two as well. Eh?
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
Okay, good. All right. Anyone else like to keep just to keep this topic before we move on? All right, good. Then as I was saying on the audit document, it's been split, and what came out of it was the physical operation would weight a little bit higher than the actual than the compliance side, and but this is open for discussion now and for review. So I think you know, if there's apart from Vinashni, if there's anyone else that would like to have a look at the document for me in a constructive way and give me feedback, I'd be most grateful. And then we can circulate it to everybody for comment. Is anyone else on the call willing to spend an hour or two and just go through it? No? Okay. Well, it seems like it's the two of us, Vinashni. All right. So yeah, folks, at this stage, I think that's about where we are. I think quite a lot has been done and achieved in a short space of time. In terms of when audits are going to start, I think Nico will point us in the right direction there. I think there's still a bit of work to be done on who's going to do it and when. But at least we've got the groundwork in place and things prepared for the auditor once that has been appointed. Nico, would you like to come in here?
Thanks, Anthony. I think Felix wants to say something. His mic is flashing. Felix?
No. Unfortunately, it's pick up a noise in my background, Anthony. Nico, I didn't mute myself. Apologies.
Okay, no, I saw it flashing. I think, Anthony, we're having these special meetings, and I must thank you for the commitment and to everybody that's clicking in. And we have certain people giving more in than what we sometimes realize. Thanks for that. You're going to send us that that new document, the document that you've now revised. We will send it out and ask the people, everybody, to have a look at it firstly, and secondly, to make sure that they also circulate it to their people. I've been around for a long time. People don't participate, and then once the document comes out for final, then they criticize. And I don't want that. Everybody must give input now while we're working on it, and then we will take it further from there. So we're hoping by the middle of this year, maybe earlier, a little bit earlier, we could most probably do the first one, the remote audit, and just make sure people's documents are in the right place. So if that's all right, Anthony, I'm not going to sit here and waffle too much, but thanks for everybody. There's emails, guys. If you've got questions, we'll send it out today or tomorrow, and then you can comment. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Nico. If I could just ask, I see on the message that there we've had a bit of a meeting chat there. Justin, if you and Mariska could just send me a test email, because I don't have your email account addresses, then I can send you that document quickly as well. Vinashni, if you could also just send me yours, please.
And if you don't have,
folks, yeah.
If you don't have Anthony, send it to me. I will forward it to Anthony. Nico at ASPASA, you should have mine, or office at ASPASA. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Thanks, Nico. Folks, thank you very much, and thanks for the guys that have really contributed very well. It's been a pleasure, and I'm quite excited about seeing the response on the audit document. I think it's going to work personally, and I'm looking at it trying to look at it from two sides, and that is from an operational side and from a environmentalist side. So hopefully it works, and hopefully you'll enjoy it, and let's see if we can get everybody up to date and where things are going to go. I think with that, thank you very much, and have a great day. Keep safe, and we'll speak again as we go along.
Thank you,
Great,
Anthony.
thanks.